What's up, you fucking savages? Today we're gonna be talking about psychopaths, and we're gonna be mentioning you fucking cunts. You know what? Fuck it. I'm recording the whole thing. No fucking scripts in this bitch. Today we're gonna be talking about 5-factor analysis, the Big Five. It's a personality module test assessment, and you can measure yourself in 5 different domains. And we're gonna find out if you fucking cunts are a bunch of psychopaths today. So, psychopathy. Well, give you a brief definition. It's basically, let me read the Google definition of psychopathy really quick. A psychopath is basically an individual who's a full fucking savage in every single way, and they prey ruthlessly on others by using charm, deceit, violence, and other methods that allow them to get what the hell they want. So fucking loot savages. So now there's a couple of personality traits, and there's a couple of symptoms associated with psychopathy that we're going to go over, and we're going to address them in reference to the Factor 5 analysis. So the Factor 5 analysis consists of 5 different domains, and that's openness, which we're not going to talk about too much in this video. We're not going to talk about it at all, except for right now. It measures creativity and interest in ideas. There's conscientiousness, which is associated with industriousness, so how much you work, how hard you work. And orderliness, so how much you care about structures and rules and authority and things of that nature. There's extroversion, which is associated with sociability, but it's also associated with assertiveness and positive emotions and enthusiasm. Now, there's agreeableness, which is associated with politeness. And so are you very polite to everyone and you don't say anything mean to anybody? And are you actually genuinely, deeply compassionate? So you can think of it like this. Sympathy, and maybe even just like charm, if taken to a certain extent, might be somewhere along the lines of polite. And then there's genuine empathy when you actually hurt for others. And that's compassion. That's agreeableness. And then the last dimension is neuroticism. Measures negative emotion. So volatility. Do your emotions spike? Do you go out of control where you're super sad and super depressed and anxious and worried and all kinds of negative ass emotions all the time? Are you volatile? Do you get irritable within 0.2 of a second on the road, and then you absolutely flip and almost kill everybody in the car with you? Volatile motherfuckers. You fucking volatile cunts. And then there's withdrawal. So do you have a lot of social anxiety? Do you say to yourself, because fuck everybody else? Yeah, you're fucking neurotic. All right. So we've got a handful of traits. I want you to go. I'm going to include a link down below. All right. I'm going to include a link to the Factor 5 analysis, and it's just going to be it's a free test. There's tests that you can, there's versions of the test that you can pay for, but I'm going to include a free one in a link below in the description box. Definitely take that shit and find out if you're a complete fucking savagely psychopath. Glib and superficial charm. So this goes into 2 different dimensions. You can think of it as extroversion. We're talking about the full fucking psychopath in this video. So we're going down all the damn traits, you cunts. Glib and superficial charm. So this is the person that they say really nice things. Like, let's say, I'll give you a great example. They're extroverted. So they're very enthusiastic, bubbly and happy, a lot of positive emotions, and they might exude that onto you, make you feel good about yourself, even, because people who are particularly enthusiastic, especially if they're high in politeness, they can make you feel good about yourself. But if they're extremely polite, very low in compassion, which means they're actually just trying to get what they want, and they're extremely extroverted, as far as, well, definitely assertiveness, but also the positive emotion, that's where that glib and superficial charm comes from. You're very bubbly and happy and excited, but you're actually very disagreeable, and you're not compassionate, and you get what the hell you want, and you're willing to say the necessary things to get what the hell you want. That's somebody who's disagreeable. Somebody who's disagreeable, they go after what the hell they want. They take what they want. They're competitive, right? And they're not compassionate. They don't give a damn about your feelings, and everything's about, what can I get for myself? Grandiose. So exaggerated. Grandiosity, exaggeratedly high estimation of oneself. This can go, I think this looks as a combination. So neuroticism is associated with negative emotion, and so you feel like shit about yourself, depressed and sad. So, and guess what? Extroversion is positive emotion. And so to feel really good about yourself, well, one, you're going to have low levels of negative emotion associated with neuroticism, and you're going to have extremely high levels of extroversion. So that's what that looks like. Low neuroticism, high extroversion, low agreeableness. Maybe you're agreeable to the extent that you're polite, but you're not compassionate. Pathological lying, that falls under being disagreeable. Maybe conscientiousness. Because here's the thing, people who are low in conscientiousness, they don't give a damn about the rules, fuck the rules, and they will take advantage of other people's work, right? The person who's high in conscientiousness, they care about the rules, they care about authority, and they'll work their asses off, and they want to work for themselves. They don't want to take advantage of other people's works, and they don't want to shove their work onto somebody else's shoulders and then take credit for it. The person who's low in conscientiousness has no problem doing that. They will break the rules, they'll say fuck authority, fuck everybody, and they will make you do their part of the work and take full credit for it. And maybe even you look worse than them so that they can move up in the dominant hierarchy while you stay at the bottom. Savages. They're fucking savages, mates. Oh, cunning and manipulativeness. This goes the same thing. It's the disagreeable person. Someone who's cunning and manipulative is out for their own interests. So they're lower in agreeableness. Very low in, like fucking low as shit. I'm talking like psychopaths consist of like 3% of the population. It's like they say like between 1 and 3% of the population. So I'll say about 3% of the population, right? So you're going to score extraordinarily low. Probably in like, you're probably going to be in like, and by the way, the Factor 5 analysis scores you within a percentile. And so it's not a percentage. You're actually measuring yourself in comparison to the general population. So if you score 0th percentile for agreeableness, especially if you're extremely low in conscientiousness, you're fucking likely to be a fucking fool savage. Psychopath. Lack of remorse or guilt. That looks like low levels of neuroticism and low levels of agreeableness. Shallow affect, superficial emotional responsiveness. So shallow affect, that looks like low levels of negative emotion, superficial emotional responses. And so that's the same thing as feeling bad. But you could also be very excitable. And you could definitely, it's not like you're a fucking, here's the thing, people fucking mix it up. They think psychopaths are these zombies who don't feel anything. Like, no, they feel things. They just don't feel the right emotions that would keep them from committing atrocities. So they'll feel positive emotion. Like, they'll feel good. And they might even feel angry. But they won't feel anxiety, right? There's a whole bunch of subcompartments of neuroticism and even extroversion. And so what you're looking at is shallow affect, superficial emotional responsiveness. So that looks like low levels of neuroticism, low levels of agreeableness, callousness and lack of empathy, low levels of agreeableness, parasitic lifestyle, low levels of conscientiousness. So you'll take advantage of other people's work, and you'll pawn it off, and you'll take full credit for it, right? Parasitic lifestyle, poor behavior controls, low levels of conscientiousness is associated with impulse control. So if you're very low in people who are conscientious, they plan out their day. They stick to structures and schedules, and they plan. They're planners. That's why they're actually people who are higher in conscientious tend to be actually more successful, and they're more stable. But people who are lower in conscientiousness are much likely to be more impulsive, and they don't plan. Shit just fucking happens. Artists and entrepreneurs are lower in conscientiousness, but also psychopaths. And so just because you're low in conscientiousness does not necessarily mean that you're a fucking criminal, but it sets you up to be one potentially, in the right circumstance, in the wrong circumstances, right? So, sexual promiscuity, that falls along the lines of maybe low levels of agreeableness, and so you don't form the compassionate relationships with others associated with high levels of agreeableness. It's also sexual promiscuity. It means you're having sex with multiple partners, which is impulsive, which means low levels of conscientiousness. Early behavioral problems, low levels of agreeableness. That's just crime. People who, the lower you score on agreeableness, the more likely you are to be a criminal, commit crimes, especially if it's paired with low levels of conscientiousness. And so you'll do what the hell you want, and you don't give a damn about the rules. That's what low levels of agreeableness and conscientiousness. I'm gonna repeat myself a lot, but it comes with it. I'm fucking grading off of a scale, so that's grading the same damn things. Lack of realistic long-term goals, low levels of conscientiousness. Impulsivity, low levels of conscientiousness. Irresponsibility, low levels of conscientiousness. Failure to accept responsibility, low levels of conscientiousness. Many short-term marital relationships, low levels of agreeableness, low levels of conscientiousness. Juvenile delinquency, low agreeableness, low conscientiousness. Revocation of conditional release. And so that means they say, here, if you just do these things, we'll let you out of jail, and so you don't have to fucking rot. And they say, okay, I'll do those things, and they go out and they say, fuck that, I'm not doing that. Low levels of conscientiousness, maybe even low levels of agreeableness. Definitely low levels of agreeableness. Criminal versatility, I believe that means you just commit a lot of fucking crimes. If you're a criminal, you're fucking low levels of agreeableness. And that's what those traits make you a psychopath. So, the two biggest traits, as you can tell, low levels of agreeableness, which will make you commit criminal acts. And, well, no. Low levels of agreeableness, yes, it will make you commit more criminal acts, but you're more self-interested and you don't give a damn about other people. And the lower you are, the more likely you are to really violate other people's rights for the sake of what you want, especially if you don't give a damn about the rules or authority, and you'll take advantage of other people's because you have low levels of conscientiousness. And so those two fucking traits, if you have those two traits, you're what? Here's the thing. That's psychopathic. Now, I want to go over a couple things real fucking quick. I do believe there's a spectrum, and I don't think that people are really funny because they try to categorize things, and actually there's several categories. And so I think there's multiple variants of psychopathy, and I'm glad to go over that right now. So guess what? You could be low in agreeableness, extraordinarily low in agreeableness and conscientiousness, and not necessarily be extremely extroverted, right? So that's associated with positive emotion, and that's associated with assertiveness. So maybe you're more introverted. You're not motivated by social interactions with others, and maybe you're not even assertive, but you still have those two traits, agreeableness and conscientiousness, because they're all exclusive of one another. And maybe even you're neurotic. And so what that looks like is the perfect psychopath, the most deadly psychopath you could have is someone who's low in agreeableness, low in conscientiousness, highly extroverted, and so they have a lot of positive emotions and they can get you excited about something and then take advantage of you. And then they're assertive, and so they'll really fucking go after what they want, and they will push until they have it. That's like extroversion. And obviously they're focused on interacting with other people, and so they're taking advantage of multiple people, and so that's their focus is people. And focused on people in relation to what they can get from them. That's what extroverted, low levels of agreeableness looks like, right? And maybe even low levels of conscientiousness. And then neuroticism. Low levels of neuroticism, high levels of extroversion, low levels of agreeableness, and low levels of conscientiousness. Fucking straight up psychopath. Especially if they're on all extremes in that direction. That's a one hell of, especially if they're extremely intelligent. And if they're high in openness and they can think up creative ideas, then maybe these guys can even become like business owners and entrepreneurs that run companies. But that doesn't always happen. It's one cliche, but there's a million variants of a psychopath. And guess what? There's another thing that you should consider. You'll read about sociopaths. You know, they say they're psychopaths, and those are the ones that were born that way. And then there's sociopaths, and they're more like made that way. And what you tend to find with them, and it's kind of funny, because I honestly think that psychopathy could potentially be born and made. Both of them. I mean, I think when they say sociopathy, what they're actually talking about is a psychopath who has high levels of neuroticism. And so they're low in traits agreeableness, and they're low in traits conscientiousness. And so they'll do the same acts associated with a psychopath, but they actually get anxious, right? So they can't blow your head off and get pulled over by police and feel no negative emotion. That's a dangerous person. But a sociopath can do the same damn things. They'll fucking blow your heads off because they're low in agreeableness. But a police pulls them over and like, oh fuck, I might go to jail. And so those two people exist. The one that doesn't give a damn, but is willing, the one that is willing to commit the acts and not give a damn, and the one that is just as willing to commit the acts, but it will actually still feel negative emotions, so anxiety, maybe even sadness and depression. And that's more like, I think that's what you get whenever you have like a lot of single parent homes that grew up in rough neighborhoods, and then they grew up around drugs and violence, and so they they manifest this personality as a consequence of mostly their environment, and then you get a sociopath. But they're not a pure, like, they're not the psychopath that's like can blow your head off and won't feel bad about it. But they're both actually capable of doing the exact same things. And maybe even the sociopath, maybe even lower in levels of conscientiousness. But there's, like I said, that's neither here nor there. There's so many variants, but that's what it is. Look in the fucking description box below. I'm going to include a link. You can click it and you can find out if you're a psychopathic cunt. Till next time, sons.